SEC Media Days, day number 3, of course, here live from Atlanta, brought to you by J.E. Dunn, top 100 healthiest place to work. You guys know the drill. 2022 best place to work in the United States, $5 billion in annual revenue. Offices all across the Southeast. And, of course, if you want to work for them, jedunn.com. Check them out here. Fringe Element, our title sponsor. David Waters joining us here from Gators Breakdown. Billy Napier, his first trip through this entire gauntlet that is SEC Media Days. Just in general, your first impressions on how he handled himself just at the podium with interviews, just the whole thing, representing the university. He's a very sort of structured, organized guy. We know that about him. What were your initial thoughts on how he handled the day?
Yeah, not much change from what we've kind of known Billy Napier to be since he's been hired at Florida. He's kind of calm, cool demeanor, maybe a little southern demeanor. I know how that is, but Billy Napier, I mean, just kind of straight to the point. A lot of times. But kind of one thing, probably my biggest takeaway is the question of why did you take the Florida job? He said everything had to be right. Everything I had to have admin support, booster support. I needed a recruiting pool to pull from, and I turned down Auburn. Well, he didn't say these schools, but of course they were asked. I turned down all these other schools in the SEC. I was waiting for the perfect opportunity, and Florida is going to give those opportunities to me. So he rehashed that. He's kind of told us locally that's one big reason why he took Florida, and kind of just reaffirmed it in front of everybody. Florida has the resources to be successful. I'm the guy to put it all together.
I find that interesting because Florida, we've seen how good they can be whenever everything's going well with Urban and with Steve Spurrier. But it's interesting that Florida, it seems like, and you correct me if you think I'm wrong here, the development of all that extra stuff is that they maybe were like a beat slow on that, but that Billy Napier was willing to come into them, kind of like Dabo, got Clemson on board with everything. Are they committed? Are they fully bought in? Were they behind? Is that the right analysis of how the situation has played out?
Yeah, Florida was behind. Florida's finally opening their big Taj Mahal facility after everybody else. I mean, and don't get me wrong, don't give Napier credit there. That has been in the works. Under Jim McElwain, that's when that started. But that lets you know that's the biggest example of how far Florida has been behind. So now you start looking at NIL, you start looking at booster support, and everything that has to come along with that. And we know what goes on in college football recruiting. There's that side of it, and everything has to be. It was there. It just wasn't together, and they needed somebody there to bring it together. We all know Florida has money. It doesn't matter what side of money you're talking about. Florida has it. They just need somebody to bring it all together. And Billy Napier, he went back and talked to Jim McElwain. Hey, what do I need to do to be successful at Florida? Jim McElwain told him what needed to be fixed at Florida. He had a confidant in Jim McElwain, and those things are coming together at Florida for Billy Napier to be successful.
Yeah, the assistant to the assistant to the assistant to the assistant offensive line coach. They're getting a really good as far as recruiting. This is not about media days or even the team, and I want to get to that with you. But just real quickly, do you feel like you've seen the results on the recruiting trail? The thing that everyone was pissed off about with Dan Mullen, even though he was a brilliant offensive coach, just wasn't doing the job on the recruiting trail. Are you seeing the Nick Saban trust the process, organizational structure, and rebuild that he's doing? Are we seeing the results?
Yeah, I think so. It did get off to a probably slower start than even I expected, but it's starting as we start to turn the calendar from June to July, and now even August, you're starting to see Florida get some commitments now, and you're starting to see some of the big names Florida's going after. We're going to know pretty soon. 2 or 3 weeks, we're going to know the direction Florida recruiting is really going in. But, yeah, there's a couple aspects there. You can look at Jacksonville recruiting right up the road. Got off to a little bit of a slow start, but then 3 commits in the last couple of weeks in the Jacksonville area, one area Florida had to hit. Florida had to recruit the state of Florida better. I think 12 commits right now, either 10 or 11 out of the 12 are from the state of Florida. There are things that you can tell, all right, this Army I'm assembling, here's some pinpoints that I'm pointing to right now that you can see there's a difference.
So I could ask you about Ventrell Miller's outfit today, the shades, the whole thing, just completely on point. But I want to talk Anthony Richardson. Not only, and I think it's kind of it's a lot of different things from an outsider's perspective. Again, I'm not getting into politics here, but I think it is admirable that a young person takes a stand on an issue and does something he believes in, whatever side of an issue you want to be on. Again, I think it's okay to be pro-gun and anti-kids dying, whatever, just my opinion. But he decides to do that. He posts that like literally day before he comes to Media Days as a sophomore representing his university. I'm assuming he's clearly the starter and starting quarterback at this point. To me, it's like this holistic view of a young person that Billy Napier trusts him. He's willing to go out and kind of be confident in his own voice. Again, if you don't know, he changes his nickname because of the AR-15 thing, which again, it's not that big a deal. To me, there's this whole big picture look at who he is that clearly Billy Napier trusts. with the program and with the keys to the offense. And how good he's going to be is largely going to dictate how good this offense is.
Yeah, Billy Napier really likes Anthony Richardson. I mean, that's even if you want to call that inside knowledge as well. He loves Anthony Richardson's potential. He is so high on what Anthony Richardson can bring to the table. And look, we've seen it ever since the last NFL draft ended. All right, who's the next crop of quarterbacks? Anthony Richardson, with very little playing time last year, has shot up to a top 5, top 10 pick, one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the draft if he lives up to his potential. And there's a lot that goes with that. He's going to have a spotlight on him. Florida quarterbacks always do. But now you got draft love going on. You got Billy Napier's first year going on. And then now coming on with the AR-15 nickname. I mean, like you said, good for him to get out in front of it, maybe. I mean, he's going to have a spotlight on him. So before the season starts, before everything gets ramped up for fall camp, get it out of the way. And whether the decision's right or not, that's personal preference.
Just put it to bed, though, right? Like, don't deal with it.
Yeah, you don't have to worry about it anymore. He sells merch before every game, and if it's got AR-15 on it, I mean, somebody's going to say something about it. So might as well just get rid of it, go play some football, and we'll go from there.
So what about like it? I don't know how much you've had a chance to spend time around him. Like, again, do all those things? Is it come across in who he is? Because, again, I don't get a chance to be around him. Most fans don't get a chance to be around him. Does he have that mature leadership thing that, you're down by 10 points in the third quarter against Georgia and you need someone to step in there and, like, just take care of it? Like, is that – we know the skills on the field are there, but is it all coming together, personality, mentally, all that other stuff?
He even admitted today at SEC Media Days he's not the rah-rah guy. You're not getting Tim Tebow out of Anthony Richardson. He's, like you say, he compared himself to his head coach. Calm, quiet demeanor, but I'm the leader. And it's not going to be the go scream in your face and ramp up. I mean, you might get the ramp up. We've seen the pregame backflips. I mean, there is a aspect of that to Anthony Richardson, but as far as the screamer and getting into a player's face, I'm not sure we'll get that out of Anthony Richardson, but I do think bringing him to SEC Media Days, everything that comes along with that, there was the speeding ticket issue, not that big of a deal, but people wanted to make it a big deal because it's Anthony Richardson, it's the Florida quarterback. So, honestly, it's a wait-and-see approach. When Florida is playing Utah and Kentucky week 1 and week 2, those games are not going to be easy. There's going to be a scenario where Anthony Richardson is going to have to step up as a leader. We'll wait and see.
So I've felt very firm about Tennessee, Kentucky. I've waffled back and forth on those two at number 2. I'm kind of with Kentucky now over Tennessee. I've never really bought the South Carolina love and hype. So I've always felt Florida really safely at number 4. They finally figured out a way to run the football last year. They ran the ball like crazy with Dan Mullen, but the defensive front had some issues. They've got some of those guys back. Where is the key part of this team? If Anthony Richardson works and Napier's the right guy, which I think you and I both agree is the case, where is it that this, like, what the success of the season hinges on what part of the team for the Florida Gators at, and again, middle of July here?
Yeah, if Anthony Richardson lives up to potential, Florida's offense will be fine. So we have to go to the other side of the ball. Okay. Look up Florida's up front. Gervon Dexter is the only name people know in the SEC. You're going to play Utah, Kentucky game 1 and 2. Tennessee week 4. We're going to know in the first month of the season how deep is Florida up front on the defensive line. Dexter's the only proven player they have. That is one position group you do not want to be short in SEC football. And we're going to figure out Utah plays an SEC brand of football. Kentucky absolutely does. We're going to find out pretty quick how quickly Billy Napier can mesh the talent Florida has, but unproven talent Florida has.
We get to the end of the season, they finish 4th, let's say hypothetically, and they are 7-5. The offense looks pretty good. It feels like Anthony Richardson is clearly the guy. Again, I guess he could leave, to go to the NFL draft. If that happens, how are the fans going to react to, again, 7-5, we're good, it's a sign of progress, but we're not great. Like, how do the fans feel about that?
7-5 with Florida's schedule, there'd still be some good wins in there somewhere along the way. I think you probably have to look at that last month of the season. Texas A&M, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, FSU. Yeah. You have to end that 4-0. If you're 7-5 and end that 4-0, all right, maybe the first 2 months of the season didn't necessarily really get there, but you end on such a high note. Now beating A&M is going to be very difficult going to Kyle Field, but you can't lose to South Carolina again. FSU's down. You still have to – Billy Napier, even in year 1, has to go beat Mike Norvell and FSU. So I think for me, what the record is, you got to look at those last few games of the season. Is Florida trending up? toward the end of the season.
Well, and that ironically, that's what Florida State did last year at the end of the year. They find Jordan Travis, and they get a little bit better at the end of the year, and they win a bunch of games at the end of the year. So, David Waters, where can everybody find you? Where can everybody find all your work? Give us the whole rundown.
Yeah, on Twitter at GatorDave_SEC. You can find Gators Breakdown on YouTube, every podcast platform out there.
There you have it, of course. Fringe Element, 440 Sports, coverage brought to you by J.E. Dunn. Top 100 healthiest place to work in the United States, of course. Top 20, voted 2022 best place to work. And again, I think Billy Napier embodies this. So does Sam Pittman, Mark Stoops, Josh Heupel. A lot of guys in the SEC these days just care about the people around you, and they'll be productive and happy and efficient. It's actually a novel concept, Dave. Thanks so much, man. Thanks for watching. This has been SEC Media Coverage brought to you by J.E. Dunn here on the 440 Sports Network and some other people.